All right, the next step is to take this cartoon-looking stained glass and to turn all the black lines into lead. And that means exactly selecting those black lines, not using the magic wand tool, which is a common misconception, but by essentially making the image select itself. So we're getting into kind of an advanced trick here, but it's relatively easy to pull off and it's highly accurate as well. So the first thing we need to do is hide the stuff behind the stained glass effect with a layer of white. So I'll go ahead and click on the bird layer to make it active. And then I'll go up to the layer menu, choose new fill layer, and then choose solid color. And I'll go ahead and name this new layer white and click OK. But just because I named it white doesn't mean it's going to be white automatically, which is why I'll go ahead and click inside this color field and drag this ball to the upper left-hand corner so that my hue and saturation values are each 0 and brightness is 100, at which point I'll go ahead and click OK in order to accept that new layer of white. Now I want you to switch over to the channels panel and click on the individual color channels. Now here's the red channel, and then here's green. Notice it darkens up a little, and here's blue. What we want is the highest degree of contrast between these gray bits of stained glass and the black lines. And in our case, that happens in the red channel. So what we need to do is convert that channel to a selection outline, and you can do that as easily as dropping down to this load channel as selection icon, the first icon at the bottom of the channels panel, and then just go ahead and click on it, and that loads up that selection. Now I'll go ahead and click on RGB in order to return to the RGB image, and then enter the quick mask mode either by clicking on its icon down here at the bottom of the toolbox or pressing the Q key. Now, at this point, we don't need to see the RGB image at the same time. So you can hide it either by clicking on the eye icon in front of RGB, or you can just press the tilde key. All right, now what I want you to do is make sure your color panel is up on screen, after which point go ahead and click on the flyout menu icon in the upper right corner of the panel and choose Grayscale Slider, as I've done here in advance. And notice that higher values indicate darker colors and lower values indicate brighter colors. And that K, by the way, represents the key color in the world of commercial printing, which is black. All right, now what we need to do is get the eyedropper tool, which you can get by pressing the I key, and we need to identify the darkest piece of stained glass. We don't really need to know what its value is, we just need to identify it. And so notice if I click on one of these tiles down here at the bottom, I'm seeing a K value of 60%. Yours will be different. So if you're working along with me, you're going to have to perform this test on your own image because after all, the stained glass filter always generates random effects. In my case, the two darkest guys are up here. One of them, this guy right there, is 61%, and the one above it is 62%. So in other words, this guy right there is the darkest tile, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to know that it's exactly 62%. I just need to know what it is. All right, now we're going to take advantage of a command we haven't seen before. It's a really great luminance adjustment function known as levels. And you get to it by going to the image menu, choosing adjustments, and choosing the levels command. And that will bring up this big dialog box of options. It's a little bit complicated, but I will be devoting an entire chapter to it in the advanced course. But in the meantime, your job is really easy. All you need to do is grab that white eyedropper right there, the one that says it's going to sample the image to set a white point. Go ahead and click on it, and then click on that darkest tile in order to make it white, while at the same time leaving the lines nice and black. And then just go ahead and click OK to apply that change. And then if you zoom in, you should see that we've got some pretty sharp transitions, but they have a little bit of softness built into them as well. All right, now you can go ahead and zoom out. And then finally, of course, I want to actually select what's black now and deselect what's white. So I'm going to go ahead and invert this image by going up to the image menu, choosing adjustments, and choosing invert, or you can just press Control-I or Command-I on the Mac to produce this effect here. And now we're done. So go ahead and either click on the quick mask icon at the bottom of the toolbox or press the Q key to once again convert that mask to a selection outline. All right, now you can return to the layers panel because what we want to do at this point is fill the selection with gray. And I'm going to zoom in so we can see what that looks like. And so what we need to do is click on the effect layer to make it active, and then go up to the layer menu, choose new fill layer, and choose solid color. And I'll go ahead and call this new layer lead, and I'll click OK. And now, assuming that your hue and saturation values are both set to 0, just go ahead and change your brightness value to 50% and click OK. But if you look closely here, notice that we have these black edges around the gray, and that's left over from the effect layer in back of this, which is not what we want. So what we need to do is just go ahead and press Control-Z or Command-Z on the Mac to undo that change. The solution is to expand the size of the selection outline, and I'll show you how that works in the very next movie.